All right. Just wanted to go over what a lot of you out there are saying about the new suspect in the Maura Murray in the missing Maura Murray case. His name is Stephen Baldwin. Um, like I said, I had some thoughts about it in a previous video, and I just wanted to go over what um, a lot of others are saying and thinking about this. Um, so like the fingerprint on the CD of Mara's, or well, it's Mara's fingerprint on one of his CDs, I guess, or on a CD. Even if they have a fingerprint, do they have any evidence that puts him on the road that night she disappeared? People are acting like this solves the case. I would hope people aren't going that far. She knew the guy, so it's not bizarre that his fingerprint would be on her fingerprint would be on a CD. Um, Someone says this guy is a liar and a terrible person, but that's it. I don't see how he can be involved. Um, this is nothing. It shows she made poor life choices, something we already knew. The odds this guy was anywhere near New Hampshire that night are infinitesimal. I don't know. I'm on the fence about it right now. I'm on the fence about that, honestly. Only reason I'm saying that is because of the type of person he is, but other than that, um, she was under emotional stress. She was likely shaken up and slightly disoriented when she crashed the car, and her bad decisions continued by wandering off. I lived up there in northern New England. The thick vegetation can hide anything. Well, if that's even what happened, like, I still think she got into a car and somebody did something to her. That's what I think happened. Remember, there were seven minutes between her interaction with Butch Atwood after the crash, right? And then by the time the first responding officer showed up. If I have that right, there were 7 minutes in between that. So in those 7 minutes, she disappeared. How is anybody's guess, right? But there were other cars that did go by. Now nobody saw her getting into a car. That would have really blew the case wide open, huh? If somebody actually witnessed her getting into a car, or if another car slowed down and stopped. But apparently there's no evidence of that. Um, People must not have been watching then. The other cars going by, they must not have been paying attention to that or something. Because weren't there at least one other. There were some neighbors that were looking out their window, right, across the street, and could That's what I remember. Were they the only ones watching the scene? Um, but they couldn't have been watching like the whole 7 minutes then. Um, but I think in those 7 minutes, one of those cars, she got into one of those cars. Just, just my theory there. Then something bad happened after that. Either, well, okay, so I have two theories actually. That, or she left the scene on foot and then something bad happened after that that wasn't tied to um, just being out in the cold and and something bad happened and it happening naturally. I think if it, with that second theory of mine, that she left the scene and then maybe got into a car later on, like in another nearby area, or met, or something bad happened later on. Those are my theories. My two prevailing theories. The other one, of course, is something just happened to her naturally. You know, she might have been in she might have been in really bad shape. We don't know the exact shape she was in. Um, you know, and disoriented. I mean, if you're like really disoriented, I have a lot of experience with being disoriented due to my medical condition that affects my head and my brain, unfortunately, and I know all about being disoriented and confused and lost and everything. But like in her, of course, her situation is different, but that can definitely could definitely have taken its toll too. And either the just nature took advantage of that, or somebody else, somebody bad took advantage of that. Just some ideas there, just some theories and thoughts. Um, thought it'd be worth. I thought it'd be worth sharing. Um, Seems like so he seems like a horrible person, but if they dated and had contact with each other's belongings, I'd expect his fingerprint to be in her car or on her things. Yeah, I mean, it just seems like it's something normal. Um, there's no way to date the print. That's what I was wondering. Is there? There, I guess there is no way to date the print. Is that for real? Um, okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Am I getting this confused? Sorry, I've been really sick lately with an ongoing condition. Is it her fingerprint on his CD, or is that his fingerprint on her CD? I'm. I may be reading into this. I may be getting this completely twisted. Without evidence that he was in her car on the night she disappeared, finding a fingerprint from a known associate of the missing person is the opposite of incriminating. Okay, I'm really sorry if I mixed the fingerprints up. I thought it was Mara's fingerprint. Um, is it his fingerprint? Oh my goodness. Okay, well, great. Um, so okay, yeah, I apologize for my previous videos as well. Then mentioning this, it was his fingerprint. Okay, interesting. Actually, pretty interesting. That actually That is interesting, actually. Okay, well, I mean, okay, so well, at least we got that right now. So he would have. Okay, okay. So when they knew each other, his prints could be in her car for no nefarious reasons. Right. Okay. I see what's going on now. It says okay. It's his print on a CD from her car. Okay. Okay. Now I'm on the same page with everybody else. I apologize. I got mixed up there. I'm just kind of my brain's just kind of like in another world right now. um, right. How does that fingerprint point him in the car at the time of Maura went missing? Probably. I think what it is we it's a gray area. Like we don't know whether it's from like before she went missing or during. Actually, I'm gonna be in that camp for the moment. But someone says I'm still a believer that she ran off into the woods after the crash and she still lays out there somewhere. If evidence eventually shows there was foul play, I will feel terrible for blaming her for her own death, but we will see. Well, I'd lean towards foul play myself, but obviously these are all just theories. We don't know what happened. That's the thing with this. We don't know anything. That's why it's intrigued everybody so much. I mean, it's just a very bizarre disappearance with no trace of her left that we know of. That's what's intrigued me all these years. I know, of course, we don't know if this. He just we also don't know anymore. This print does not really tell us anymore if he did anything or not. It is. I will say it's interesting though. I will say it's definitely interesting and needs to be followed up. You know, for sure, because it's pretty much all we've got right now, right? Or one of the only things to go on here. It's not much, but it's. I mean, at least it's something. I don't know. Could be more to it. I mean, we'll have to just see. I mean, he wasn't with her in the car. There was nobody with her in the car. He would have had to have met up. If he had anything to do with it, he would have had to have. Like, he wasn't tailing her. No, he wasn't tailing her. Like he wasn't following her up there. Um, if anything, if he was involved, he would have had to have met up with her. I think I said this in a previous video. He would have had to have met up with her later on somehow. And there's just no, like, trail of that. He would have had to have somehow met up with her later on then. which there's no evidence of either. Let's see. So this person says the new suspect actually makes a lot of sense. It's someone who was close to Maura, and he had a very shady history. He does. That doesn't mean he did anything to her, but he does have a very shady history. But so does the other boyfriend, like the one afterwards. I don't buy that she wandered into the woods and just died. If that were the case, her body surely would have been found, especially with searches having been done. That's how I feel too. Typically, in a disappearance, you look towards spouses or other romantic interests. This guy fits perfectly. Well, we don't know. We don't know. Like, I don't think he was up there. He would have had to have met, like I said, if he had anything to do with it, it would have had to have been later on. But he wasn't there at the time. Right? I mean, what are the chances of that, right? I mean, what are the chances of that? Not very likely. And then there's other people of interests too that we have to consider. As it's, you got to consider local people as well. This person says, I think it was that one guy's brother who lived close by. I forget who that was. Or she hid in the woods, got lost, and passed away. A lot of people think that she most likely ran off into the woods and passed from exposure. But how far would she have gone? Like, never be discovered? Like, refusal of private property owners to allow searches. That's a problem. That could be an issue for sure. I don't know how much of that happened, but like, yeah, sure. I mean, that's not good. Or they could have done something. I mean, if it was me, I'd definitely allow searches. Jesus, but everybody's different. Doesn't mean they would have had anything to do with it or not, but I mean, that's definitely an issue with this. Someone says your common sense won't fit well with the conspiracy and corruption crowd. Oh gosh. Always those types of comments as well. Very funny, very funny. I mean, people just have the most. We all have like completely different thoughts on this. Like, just it is all over the place in this case, all over the place. I think like it is in most disappearance cases, but like I'm just saying, like it's everybody's all over the place with this. I'll give you an example. Have you ever tried walking in deep snow? She couldn't have gotten far in that weather, especially in the shoes she was wearing. She would have been found by now if that was the case. And then somebody replies to that. She was a track and field athlete, and you can do amazing things when you're hammered and trying to get away from the police. Or she hitchhiked and met foul play. See, everyone's all over the place. See, that's the thing with these mysteries, like these without a trace mysteries like this. Like, our minds are just like all over the place with this. It can, I think it can be helpful, to go over all of it though. Um, and that's all that this could be. All this proves that she once dated a seriously scary guy. Big deal. There's no reasonable explanation in which he is at the scene of her disappearance and then able to escape undetected. Sure. Baldwin sounds like a psychopath. Yeah. Um. Uh. Someone says, I remember wondering if perhaps she had hooked up with someone at that party, someone she had made plans with to uproot and leave everything behind. That's been talked about since the beginning, like the leaving behind everything and starting a new life theory. Um, that's always kind of been talked about in this case as well. Let's see. When she found herself in a precarious situation just before or maybe immediately following the alcohol related car accident, perhaps she reached out to a friend from her days as a cadet in a desperate call for help. Perhaps they showed up and whisked her away. But what happened next is anyone's guess. But this guy seems to check both boxes. In the end, I remember thinking that the guy who lived in the A frame house, where they found blood on the walls, should be their number one suspect. Regardless, I hope her family gets closure. Uh, and as far fetched as it sounds, she may even still be alive. So that's the best case scenario, that if she's still alive, of course. And yes, I really hope her family gets closure too. Yeah, definitely. The A frame thing is strange. Sure. I don't know what to think about that either, honestly. Like there's something to that though, whether it has to do anything with Maura's disappearance or not. I think there might be something to that. I don't like the comp. I mean, I just don't like people. I don't like people who are saying like 100% she ran into the woods to avoid a DUI and passed. Like, we don't know that for sure though, dude. Like I understand, like, if that's what happened, then yeah, we can give it a rest. But like, since we still don't know, I think all of us who like really care about this case, like I'm sure you do too. Like I'm not saying you don't, but like for the chance that that's not really what happened, like we her family needs to know, the truth. Even if it is the most likely scenario, that doesn't mean that's what happened. You know? Um, let's see here. The police UF SUV seen before the official police arrival, could that be related? Is there just like a mixture, a mix up with that, or what? Like, what's up with that part? I've heard that before, early on. Um, yeah, see, someone here says, personally, I think she disappeared on purpose. I think she staged the accident. I don't think she's. Yeah, I find it highly unlikely if she would stage the accident, but. Um, let's see what else. Let's see what else this says here. This person here, she could be onto something. Um, but she does think the accident was staged. I don't think her car spun out at the corner. I think she was coming from the other direction and purposely drove into a snowbank on the opposite side of the road. The damage to her car isn't consistent with hitting a tree, but something wide, like a wall of packed snow. Her car was also still drivable after the accident, was it? An eyewitness said they saw her taillights reversing, and police documented that there were car tracks in front of her car, which indicated she had put the car in reverse to back up after hitting the snowbank. So she thinks Maura was still aware the car was still drivable. Why wouldn't she just drive away in case police were called instead of run into the woods during winter? She doesn't think she got into a car with a stranger. Seeing as how there were many houses around she could have easily gone to and asked for help instead, and also refused help from the bus driver who stopped. Sure, she could have went to another house, and then something bad could have happened then too. I talked about that earlier. Said, I also don't think she ran off into the woods to hide from a DUI. There's no tracks in the snow. Indicated that she ran anywhere in the area, into the woods. And, well, she disappeared between the time the bus driver talked to her, right, and the police arrived. So 7 minutes. Yeah, we talked about that a bit ago. In that small window of time, the chances of her coming in contact with an abductor is astronomically small. I actually disagree with that. If she got into a car, we don't know who those drivers were. If she got into a car, who knows who the driver was? The driver could have been. The driver would have been the abductor. There's a lot of bad people out there. A lot of opportunists, Not that anybody was, being an opportunist that night, but they could have just decided, to do something to her, when she got in the car. So I don't think it's astronomically small that the chances of coming in contact with an abductor in those 7 minutes. No. That sounds pretty reasonable to me. Because we don't know who was out there that night. We don't know who was driving past. Do we know? We don't know how many cars drove past, but there were cars that drove past there. I think during that time she got into a car of someone who knew her, who was already supposed to pick her up after the staged accident. Okay, so that's possible too, I guess, but that's why she lied to the bus driver and told him that she had already called AAA. She was trying to get him to move on so she could jump in the other car and not be seen before anybody else drove by or police showed up. See, I think she got into a stranger's car to do just that, not a car that, not from somebody that she knew, because how would they have gotten there in time? Oh, unless she like left the scene and then got to them later. Well, yeah, but like um. So anyway, I wanted to make this video here, just just going over different people's thoughts and comments. Like I find it really interesting, to see what other people are thinking, and it also helps with my own thinking about everything. Um, I do think it's definitely interesting to go over what other people are saying for sure. Um, I'll go on for a little bit longer here, but I wanted to go over like what people's thoughts were on of course, this new suspect, and then I know now we're delving into everything else. um, I think that would have happened anyway with this video. Um, I want to know where the heck her like clothes and belongings are. Like that part never made any sense to me. I think she had her phone, backpack, clothes. I just feel like that stuff would turn up if she was out there. Um, see if I can see if there's any other interesting comments here. So here's another theory. Well, here, I think the guy who called the police murdered her. He's deceased now. I'm not seeing the connection here. The guy who called the police. She was seen by others in the neighborhood after he drove away. Oh, are they talking about Butch Atwood? I think the guy with the triangle house did it. His own brother thinks so too. Oh, the A-frame house? The bus driver abducted her. It's so simple, somebody says. Um, so I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think it was Butch Atwood that did anything. Um, I think he was looked into pretty thoroughly since he was like the last person to see her face to face, you know what I mean? Well, the only one to see her face to face there. So yeah, so yeah, I mean this video was originally, what people think about the new suspect, um, Stephen Baldwin, the ex-boyfriend, and then we delved into like a lot of other things, as I suspected would happen. Um, More theories and thoughts that people have about the case, about her disappearance, which, you know, I do always find interesting to go over. It's a lot of things that I forget about, or, you know, and people are still talking about. So, what do you all think, like, about the new suspect? Um, I don't think we know too much more than we. I don't think we know anything new yet that would help. We don't know anything new yet that would help solve this case. As of right now, I'm mixed. Could be something. It's something worth looking further into, obviously, but at the same time, it doesn't tell us anything else or anything helpful yet. If there's anything more to it, maybe that will be found out. Anything more to this suspect and her disappearance. But as of right now, there's not much to go on. The fingerprint doesn't tell us very much. I don't think so. Um, I think I'll wrap it up now. But yeah, I'd love to know what everybody else thinks. May have happened to her. Or like, do you think this person could possibly be involved in her disappearance somehow? Do you think it's somebody else, um, in the scenario that could be involved in her disappearance, like somebody known, like Billy Rausch, Butch Atwood, and the guy who lived in the A-frame house, or somebody else, some other character here that's known. Um, my strongest theory is that she got into a stranger's car, left the scene. Either either she left the scene near the immediate accident, or she ran off and got into a car later on somewhere else in a different area. Those are my two theories, um, which none can be proven, of course. Um, but yeah, let me know what your I would like to know everybody else's strongest theory. Just your. I find it interesting, um, just to see what everybody else thinks. And I'll be back with more. I'll probably be back with more. Well, I know I'll be back with more true crime videos that interest me for sure. Um, I did do a video on Sudiksha Konanki. I'm gonna see if there's any more, like, any new updates on that for later. Maybe I'll do something more on that as well. Um, but I'm sure I'll do some more Murray videos as well. And of course, I've been doing more. So I've been doing videos on the Delphi murders. My thoughts on the Delphi murders. Um, so yeah, if you find these videos interesting, be sure to tune in next time as well. And thank you for watching.